You want to discuss Vengeance?
Yeah, let's get into Vengeance. You
Um,
just finished it, right?
yeah, I was kind of running late to the show because I was like, I got a few more minutes of Vengeance, like 10 more minutes. And let me wrap this up real quick before I kind of get into the call with you. So yeah, I just finished it. Yeah, just like 30 minutes ago. I like almost 40 minutes ago. I just finished it. So Vengeance. Vengeance is a movie which is directed by B.J. Novak, written by B.J. Novak, and starring B.J. Novak. People might remember B.J. Novak from The Office. He starred in that show as well. He's also doing some writing for that show as well. Office, which was a massive big hit here in America as well as other parts of the world. Always kind of trending. You'll see on Netflix and Hulu. It's always kind of the go-to show for people. It's just like, yeah, I got nothing else to watch. Might as well just pop on Netflix and watch The Office again for the 80th time. So you kind of have that. So here, this is his directorial debut, isn't it?
Yeah, his directorial debut. He's directed several episodes of TV. He's directed episodes of the Mindy Project, which is the Mindy Kaling
Mm-hmm.
show on Fox, I believe. And
Yeah.
then he's directed, looks like about 5 episodes of The Office,
Yeah.
and and 4 episodes of like the miniseries, uh, the Office web series or whatever.
Mm.
So
Okay.
yeah, so mainly TV. This is his first feature.
Okay, yeah. And here with his first feature, Vengeance. So in this movie, he stars as a typical kind of douchey New York writer guy. Even the opening of this movie, he's talking to, I mean, you can't really almost get a bigger, douchier guy to speak to is John Mayer. And, who I love John Mayer's music. He makes some good music, but seems like, kind of got some douchey elements about him a little bit. And they're just kind of sitting there talking. And they're kind of have kind of one of the most, kind of annoying, white guy kind of conversation back and forth, about like thinking what they're saying is very profound. It's like, we should make a podcast. We should write this down. You know what I mean? And put this down so everybody can hear it. And he kind of goes to Issa Rae, who's also at the party, and he's like, yeah, I want to do a podcast, and I think I have a lot to say. And during that night, he kind of gets a phone call. Phone calls from Boyd Holbrook, who's in this movie, who I very much like Boyd Holbrook a lot. I think he is, have a lot of interesting roles that he's been in. I know him. He was in Logan. He just was in The Sandman. And actually watching this was kind of messing me up because seeing him in the Sandman where he's got like teeth for eyes. I was kind of looking at this movie and seeing him with the teeth for eyes, so it's kind of like messing me up a little bit. I was kind of like disturbed from some part. I was like, damn, I don't think I can even look at this guy anything else
Mm-hmm.
without seeing him for teeth for eyes. But he's in here, so he gets a call, and it's from the brother of a girl that he used to hook up with, Abby. And then he gets that kind of call. It's like, hey, she's dead. I know you and her were really close. Would you mind coming down to Texas to be for her funeral? And he's like, what? Because he doesn't even remember this girl all that much. It was just some kind of hookup he had. But he just kind of decides to do it mainly just out of guilt, and comes down to Texas for the funeral. And then he kind of gets involved more with the family. The brother starts to tell him, it's like, I don't think it was, an overdose. I think she was murdered. And that's what he kind of bases this whole podcast around, is the kind of discussing the murder, the possible murder of this girl that he hooked up with while he was in New York. Yeah. So I know that Marley, he's been talking about this movie and saying, hey, it's one of his, you said it's kind of like one of your favorite movies of the year, right?
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites of the year. I'm not sure if it's gonna make my final list, just because there's plenty of other movies to come out like this year. But so far, it's like in my top one. It's in my top 10.
Mm,
I think that this film is absolutely incredible for a first feature. Uh, I think this is a film also that BJ Novak, it seems like he's been kind of like stirring with for a really long time. Like he's definitely probably like he's had several drafts of this, and I feel like only now like this film actually like makes sense for like a lot of people, just because on like the what it has to say about like how we take in information now, like especially like for like podcasters like you and me,
Yeah.
is like it shows like when you listen to like those crime podcasts on how people get like into a story and stuff like that, and like how we get attracted to like these characters that we don't really know like at all. We just assume that we know them because of one person, usually white people. You're like that, how they basically like craft like these characters based on like their interactions. And I thought that was like really fascinating on just like how we kind of like form like these narratives
Mm.
through just basic conversations. And I don't think like kind of like like I rewatched it kind of I rewatched it again uh before coming on the show with you. Is I think that it, like you, how you said like the last movie we talked about kind of stumbles in the third act. I think this film kind of stumbles too. Like it doesn't necessarily like kind of like everything up to the third act is like really great, and I feel like it kind of like like there's a few missteps. I don't think it's like it completely falls flat on its face, but it's kind of like it just kind of like it stutters a little bit. Like it's a instead of a 10, it's a 9 for me.
Mm.
So, but going back to like the first part of like the intro, what a great, like, because I didn't see any trailers for this, but what a great just kind of like pull the rug out from under like in the intro to just throw John Mayer in there. Like like
Yeah.
it's kind of like the perfect kind of like, whoa, John Mayer's in this movie. Like what the like what the heck? Like,
Yeah.
and then just hearing like their conversation kind of going back was just kind of like what was it felt real. Like I could totally see these two people like having this conversation. I'm just like especially at a party, and I'm probably like, if I heard them talking, I'd probably be walking away. So
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It kind of, yeah, fits that, yeah, elitist kind of New Yorker type kind of thing there. Them kind of having that back and forth kind of conversation just about, like women and, totally, a lot of these dudes you see on these podcasts, like, yeah, some of them shouldn't be having mics. Really, it's like their thoughts shouldn't kind of be out there for people to really consume. But
Mhm.
yeah, you kind of see that, and then when he goes to kind of Texas, they do. I mean, it's a little bit of it of like, hey, look at these crazy Texas people. Like it's a little bit of that slightly.
Mhm.
These kind of country bumpkins a little bit, and then look at this kind of New Yorker guy. Look at him; he's all stuffy and everything like that, and elitist and all this other stuff. It kind of does a little bit of that there. But I think it's not so much where it's like so stereotypical. I think. And I think, seeing his relationship with, like, as he's, really with the family more and more, kind of growing more of a closer relationship with them. Like, at first, he's kind of just like, yeah, I just kind of just want to do the podcast and kind of just like, this would be really interesting. Even like, this story, like, he doesn't even really, is not so much all that concerned about the girl that he had hooked up with who's died, because he was like, I didn't even really know her all that well. But the family thinks that, her and him were on the path to marriage. You know what I mean? Like, they think they were
Mhm.
going to, run away together or something like that, like live forever together. Um, and so the family's treating him, like such a, like royalty almost, like, and really inviting him into their home and cooking them food and sitting with them and everything like that. And I think the family, a lot of the members of them are great. Going even from like Boyd Holbrook, like there's a character, like you have these two. I think they were sisters, like Paris and Kansas. Like these two sisters, you have who's played by Dove Cameron, played Kansas, and you have Elizabeth, who played Paris. Both of them. I think they work really well together. I think the mother also works very well. You have the person who was like the little brother, who was Eli Bickle. I think he did a very good job as well. I think a lot of seeing him kind of interact with the family. Yeah, it was really good. Isabella, sorry, I said Elizabeth. Isabella is playing Paris there. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think that was kind of really good. And seeing him kind of get closer to them, and as well as you also see some like Ashton Kutcher, like as him kind of trying to investigate, in this town. Ashton Kutcher here, who plays like a music producer. I think he kind of has like a nice little role here in the movie. What'd you kind of think about some of the other kind of characters in this?
I thought the Ashton Kutcher character was really great. I didn't think that I was gonna end up liking like that, like his character, just because when his character is revealed, it's kind of it's very much over the top. Like this music producer, kind of like in Texas, of just the character that he represents.
Hmm.
But I feel like a lot of the stuff that that character has to say rings true for like how we consume media, and it
Hmm.
really kind of like drives home the themes of what this movie's trying to like kind of like uh what this movie's trying to say. Like I like that you said that like this movie doesn't really kind of like go fall within the stereotypes of like, oh, crazy Texas family, oh, it's the douchey New Yorker guy. Like it only spends a little bit of time on that, and I think that was its main goal, because like that's the point. It's like it's establishing these stereotypes of like these people based on like preconceived like notions.
Yeah.
But once you start talking to someone, then that's when you or just reading stories or just hearing or just talking with them on a personal level, that's when like those stereotypes start to change. And I feel like it's just the way the story kind of like goes along with that. It like I thought it was actually kind of beautiful, and it kind of I like the way too, the way like the way this movie's edited too. It kind of tells that story along like a podcast, where it's kind of like the way they're kind of like I like that you're kind of hearing like the podcast along with other people, like if it's airing uh like like they're posting it on like NPR and stuff like that. Like Issa Rae is basically like editing like the show. Like Issa Rae plays the uh Ben's producer, and he's kind of like asking for like information back and forth. I like that you're kind of like it's like behind the scenes like with them and stuff like that. But it's
Yeah.
probably like I wanted more of Issa Rae, to be honest, because I like her as like as an actor, and
Yeah.
just like and I kind of wish we had more of her. And I understand that like especially for a first feature, like probably they didn't really have enough money to pay Issa Rae just because she's kind of a big time star.
Yeah.
And I like that's why you don't really see them very much together. It's just kind of like oh on a phone call and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah. She the moment she pops up, I think she is very funny, and she is very good in kind of a lot of the moments they pop up, and like you said, it like mainly trying to do this podcast to garner attention because BJ Novak and her are kind of having the conversation. It's like, oh, dead white girl, that's hot, that's big, everybody kind of loves it. It's going to get a lot of attention. True crime podcasts, especially, are like really really huge. Everybody,
mhm.
like a lot of people listen to those things. And this kind of like the way he's kind of like spending more time with the family, and then also like he gets to know more about the girl as well, the girl that passed away, through like just seeing it's like, oh yeah, she was a singer, and like because he also stays in her room, like the time he's in Texas, and like looking at the pictures on the wall, kind of looking through her laptop, looking at videos that she had on there. Like he kind of grows more kind of closer to her, and it kind of reminded me of something like Searching. Did you ever see the movie with John Cho?
Yeah, searching for sure.
Yeah.
I could see how you can draw comparisons with that. I think that I don't know. Actually a really good comparison. I didn't even think about that, but I think that like all that stuff that the movie's feeding you, it's just like it kind of just like again it drives in the point. Like I said before, it's just like when you initially talk to someone and when you first get to know someone, that is a fraction of what this person actually is. It's like the whole thing with the family. It's like the family thought that like, oh, this is our daughter's like like future fiance. It's like
Mm.
it's and like in reality, it was just like he was just like uh she was just like a hookup for him,
Mm.
just because. But based on like what she was telling like her family, like when they were either texting or like on the phone, they don't really reveal that.
Mm.
But the stories that she was telling about Ben was kind of BJ Novak's character were a lot different, and just kind of like everyone has their own side of the story. And I think
Mm.
this the way that this film kind of like tells that is actually really cool and unique.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was really kind of good there about how we do, and then even like what Ashton Kutcher's character says, at the end about Abby and about everything like that, about the character, about really with now social media and with everything like that, if something were to, I guess, I don't know, happen to me or something like that, people could get a general sense of maybe who I was through these recordings. That's stuff that is public, you know what I mean? On like stuff like YouTube or Twitch or social media, things like that. Somebody could still kind of, it's a record of a person that everybody can see. That's kind of available. It almost makes it feel like kind of they're still here, in a way. Kind of looking at that. So I thought that was kind of interesting, touching on that, and like the podcast element. It's I think we kind of a little see more of that now in media, because in television and movies, because that's such a big thing. Like people who do podcasts, like assholes like me. We kind of see more of that. Like, do you watch the show Only Murderers in the Building? Do you watch that show?
See, no, I have not. I think that's next on my list after I finish Better Call Saul, just to watch Only Murders in the Building, just because it feels like that show is right up my alley. I just haven't had the time to like watch it. But I hear that show is about a podcast and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's with Selena Gomez and Steve Martin and Martin Long, I mean Martin Short. I mean, and I said Martin Long. Yeah,
it's like that TikTok meme when Martin Long walks in the building. This is what Martin Long. That sounds like a video idea. Thanks for that.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're welcome. So that's a show there, and that's about like people who do a podcast and they're trying to like investigate kind of true crime stuff. And it kind of has a very humorous tinge to it, like this kind of does, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of that as well, which is very interesting. Him trying to do that. And him kind of investigating things, and when he interviews like the family and they typical like Texan things, you know what I mean? Like you'll have like the kid who has a handgun, he's only like 8 years old or 10 or something like that. And then you also have like, they love Whataburger. I guess Whataburger must have been a big sponsor for this movie, because they go to Whataburger a lot. You'll see Whataburger throughout this whole movie, you know what I mean? They must have did some good they paid for some good promotion in this movie.
I'm not sure if they paid for promotion, but I will just say it, like, since I know quite a few Texans, if you're gonna set a movie in Texas, like just from the people that I know that are from Texas, you have to include Whataburger, or they're just gonna trash that movie, because it's like the Whataburger is like like for California. I'm in California. That's like it's In-N-Out. It's In-N-Out here. Texas, it's Whataburger. So it's like that totally was on brand with all Texans. So I totally agree with the movie on that. So,
which I'm not trashing Whataburger. I mean, I when I went to Texas, I went to Austin. I had Whataburger. It was decent. It was all right. I don't know. I haven't had In-N-Out yet, so I can't compare the two. But it was all right.
Yeah, if I ever go to Texas, I'm gonna try it. But I think that they're two different things. It's just kind of like with Shake Shack and In-N-Out, like those are two different restaurants. It's like they're both trying to do two different things. But yeah.
Is Jack in the Box?
We don't want to get.
Is that only in California, Jack in the Box, or is that everywhere?
I think it's West Coast.
West Coast. Okay.
Like not just California, but it's like West Coast. But
okay.
It might be called something else somewhere else, like on the East Coast or something like that. Oh. Actually, when I was in New York, I seen a Jack in the Box.
Oh, okay.
So it's not, yeah.
Okay.
I think there's actually one in Times Square, which is super weird.
Oh,
the Jack in the Box, like right in the middle of Times Square. It's just like all these other like ethnic and just like different types of food, and you got a Jack in the Box, and you got an Applebee's, and I'm like, okay.
All right. I'm gonna give my final thoughts on this, and then give my rating. I'm gonna pass it to Marley, give his final thoughts and ratings. I had a good time really watching this. I like kind of the pulp kind of nature of it. A little bit of a kind of this story of him investigating it through this podcast, him with the family, him kind of learning more about this girl as he's kind of getting closer to her. That kind of things go on, with this record of her, hearing her sing and, because she's a singer and that's how she's connected to, Ashton Kutcher's character because he was a music producer. So him listening to her music is like, no, I never knew she was a singer. And him kind of listening to it and going that and feeling a little bit more connected to her, I thought was also very good. And I thought when, Marley speaks about a little bit about the third act, about, maybe it didn't hit so well and kind of stumbled upon things. I think it kind of is very sudden, and what kind of happens at the end feels very kind of sudden and very. I almost really did. I don't think I saw that coming of what happens. I'd be interested to hear what people think of kind of the climax of this movie when it happens, and people can kind of see it where it's going. That'd be kind of very interesting. But yeah, I think yeah. My only issue kind of with the third act was kind of just how sudden kind of it was, and kind of how maybe I don't think it fits with maybe the character that was here that we have in BJ Novak. But yeah, other than that, I think it's a strong movie. Will it be on my best of list like Marley here? I don't know. I have to see the rest of the year shakes out, but I think it's a very good movie. And I would give it a strong tune in. Marley?
Yeah, I think I'll give this one a strong tune in as well. I think that this is an incredible first, like a directorial debut for like a feature film. Which by the way, we've gotten a lot of like directorial debuts from like comedians. Like BJ Novak is a comedian, and I think there was another. I can't really shoot. I kind of shot myself there in the foot a little bit, but like Jordan Peele, that was a great directorial debut from like someone that did like that did like sketch comedy and stuff like that. And yeah, I think that this movie's really strong. I think the messages it has to say about social media and the current climate and like how we treat people like in the age of social media is interesting. Right now it's sitting on my top 10 list. I think it might fall off just a little bit depending, like we got a few more months, so we'll see what comes out. Like maybe Avatar 2 will come out and be like blow me away, but highly unlikely. But I think this is really strong. It's available on VOD now, and I think people should check it out and form their own opinion on it. So it's really great.
Yeah, that's how I saw it. VOD. Yeah, that's how